Good morning, students. In previous class, we have seen the concept of electrostatics. In this class, we are going to step into the concept of magnetostatics. Under this, the first topic what we are going to see is steady magnetic fields. So the concept of your magnetic field review, steady state magnetic field. Next, we are going to see the Boyd-Sawat's law problems. The first one is going to be the steady state magnetic field. The main objective of this particular chapter will provide the detailed concept of your magnetostatics. In the previous session, whatever we have handled, we have seen about the electrostatics. Now here I will just show the difference between electrostatics and magnetostatics. Electrostatics, magnetostatics. In electrostatics, we have read about the electric field strength. In magnetostatics, we will read magnetic field strength. In electrostatics, we have done with our electric flux density. Here we will be dealing it with your magnetic flux density. So these two terms will give a differentiation, and the main objective will include all the concepts of your magnetostatics. First, application of your magnetostatic field. Next, Faraday's induction law, Boyd-Sawat's law, Ampere's circuit law, Ampere's force law for current element. In forthcoming sessions, we will be dealing it with the Boyd-Sawat's law, Ampere's circuit law, Stokes theorem, Curl theorem. So we will read in the forthcoming session. Next, force on current element and between the current element, Lorentz force equation. This we will see it in the next chapter. Then boundary conditions, what is meant by a scalar magnetic potential, vector magnetic potential, what is meant by an inductance, what is the energy stored. So all these concepts will be included under magnetostatics. But in this chapter, we are going to see about the present magnetic field review, then Boyd-Sawat's law, Ampere's circuit law, and then we are going to see about the scalar and vector magnetic potential and problems under Curl theorem and Stokes theorem. So all these topics we are going to cover under this third module. First we will see the magnetic field. So magnetic field means it is you can consider two magnets. You can consider the magnet. One is going to be your north pole, another one is going to be your south pole. In between the magnet, the field exists. Even if you have only one magnet, around this magnet there will be a field, and that field is called as your magnetic field. But this field can only be recognized, or it can only be observed when you are bringing any iron objects, or when you are bringing any other magnetic element near to this magnet. Then only we can recognize that there will be a force of attraction or force of repulsion. Therefore, when you have a magnet, there will be a field exerted around the magnet. Therefore, we can see the magnet will come only in pairs, north pole and south pole, and no monopoles, like only one magnet will not come. So you will be having a magnet as a pair. Either it could be a north pole or south pole. Like this only you will get the magnet, like in terms of pair only we'll be getting it. Next one, will have a magnetic field exerts a force on the moving charge, that is on current. Here the force is perpendicular to both the direction of the motion, and we must use a cross product. The other difference between your electrostatics and magnetostatics is, in electrostatics we will use a dot product, whereas in case of magnetostatics we will use a cross product. So the force is perpendicular, and here we must use a cross product. Because of this perpendicular direction of the force, a moving charged particle in a moving uniform magnetic field is going to be a circular or spiral in shape. Because of moving charge, it is a current. So current is nothing but a movement of electron. So when the charge starts to move, we can say it is a current. We can write the force in terms of the current, but since current is not the vector, it leads to a kind of messy way of writing the equation. So we can write here FB is equal to the force existed between the two magnets is equal to I into L into B. B is nothing but your magnetic flux density, which is going to be the property of your magnetic material. L is going to be the length of your magnetic material and I is going to create a current due to the movement of your charge. Where you can see the diagram as shown over here. When you consider the force, here there are two forces can exist. One is, first you consider two charges. Consider two charges. Consider two magnets. Okay. It is going to be a north pole and south pole. In between this, there will be a field exerted. So the movement of the field is in the form of a charge and it causes a current. Okay. So there will be the total force when you take, it is going to have both your electrical force as well as your mechanical force. Electrical force can be written as Q divided Q1 into Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon r square. Mechanical force in the sense when you are moving a charge in the presence of the field with a velocity u, then it is going to exhibit a mechanical force. That force is given as Q into V. That is, you are going to move a charge in the presence of this magnetic flux density with a velocity u. Therefore, the mechanical force existed is given as Fb is equal to Q into V vector cross product with B vector. It is going to be your mechanical force exerted. You can see the movement of the charge particles and it is going to be the force existed and it is moving with the velocity u in the presence of this magnetic field intensity. Therefore, the force exerted is given as Q into V vector cross product with B. Here when you check over here, it is the direction of your magnetic flux density. It is the place where the charge is placed and the distance between the two coils is given as P. It is moving with a velocity U. Therefore, the magnetic field caused by the current is given as, we can consider how we can make a magnet in the sense, it is possible for us only to make a magnet by winding a wire in a coil and running a current through the wire. So, when you are passing a current through this, it is going to create a magnetic property. So, from this and other experiments, it can be seen that current creates a magnetic field. In fact, that is the only way that magnetic fields are created. If you zoom into your permanent magnet, you will find that it contains a tremendous number of atoms whose charges whiz around to create a charging current. Hence, the strength of the magnetic field created by the current, it depends upon the current and the force of I divided 1 divided by R square. As the distance is getting increased, the amount of current developed will also be matters a lot. Therefore, the strength of the magnetic field created and the current depends upon the current and the fall of 1 divided by R square. Now we are going to see Boyd-Sievert's law. In this law, we are going to consider a path. You consider a conductor. So this is going to have a line charge density. When you are going to have a line charge density, you are going to assume a differential current element dl. You are going to pass the current through this, not a line charge density. You are going to consider a conductor with a line charge density and passing a current of I amps. When due to line charge density, if you are passing a current of I amps, you need to assume a differential current element. The differential current element assumed is going to be I into dl. And it is the point where we need to identify the value of your magnetic field intensity. In Boyd-Sievert's law, we'll be identifying the magnetic field intensity. So, between this current element to the point under consideration, the distance is going to be R. Therefore, at point P, your magnetic field exists. It is going to be your effect and this is going to be your cause. Now, the Boyd-Sievert's law states that the differential, since the current element, whatever we have taken, it is differential. The differential magnetic field intensity exerted at point P is directly proportional to the current element I into dl and inversely proportional to the distance and sine of the angle made between the current element and point P. So, we can write the Boyd-Sievert's law as, you can see here, it is going to be the current carrying element. It is going to carry the current and here we are assuming a differential elemental length current element, and it is the point where we need to identify the magnetic field intensity. Since the assumed path is differential, the field whatever it is going to exerted at point P is going to be differential, and the angle made between the current element and the point P is going to be theta. Therefore, Boyd-Sivart law states that the magnetic field intensity due to the current element is given as dB, that is the differential magnetic field intensity dH is directly proportional to the current element I into dl and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them, and also it inversely proportional to the sine of the angle between the current element and the point under consideration. So it is going to be your differential magnetic field intensity. And the relationship between your magnetic field and magnetic fluxes, we know that the magnetic flux density B is equal to mu into H, where mu is nothing but your permeability. In case of your electrostatics, we have a epsilon which is nothing but permittivity, whereas in case of magnetostatics, we have the term called mu which is nothing but your permeability. Permeability mu can be written as it is equal to mu naught into mu r. Mu naught is known as absolute permeability, where it is equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7, and mu r is going to be your relative permeability, and it is equal to 1 if you are going to consider the medium to be air. Therefore, Boyd-Sivart's law, we can say here, you can see here mu naught is going to be the permeability constant, and it is equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7 Tesla meter per amps, and which is equal to 1 divided by epsilon naught into mu naught. So this particular formula, when we are going for the application of your electrostatics and magnetostatics with respect to your wave propagation, we'll get this equation. So that time we can see this equation. The magnetic field wraps in a circle around a wire. The direction of the magnetic field is easy to find by using your right hand rule. So the direction of the field can be identified. If you see this particular diagram, it is the direction of your magnetic flux density, whereas this is going to be the direction of the current. So to the direction of the current, the magnetic flux density is going to be perpendicular, and to the magnetic flux density, your magnetic field intensity will be perpendicular. You can see here it is going to be the direction of your magnetic flux density, and this is going to be the direction of your current. To this current, your magnetic flux or magnetic field is going to be perpendicular. Now we'll see one problem under the Boyd-Sivart's law. Find the magnetic field intensity at point A 2, 3, minus 2 due to the current element I into dl equal to pi 0.5 AX minus 0.6 AY plus 0.8 AZ microamps per meter, situated at the point B. So we have 2 points. One is point A, another one is going to be point B, and the current element point A is 2, 3, minus 2, and the current element is placed at point B, which is 3, minus 2, 4. The current element given is I into dl, which is equal to the equation pi into 0.5 AX minus 0.6 AY plus 0.8 AZ microamp meter. Now we need to identify the magnetic field intensity. So according to Boyd-Sivart's law, it states that the general formula is the differential magnetic field intensity is proportional to the current element I into dl and inversely proportional to the square of the distance and a sine of the angle. So I into dl divided by r square. So we can have here, this is the point where we need to identify the value of your magnetic field intensity. Therefore, this point is going to be your effect and this is going to be your cause. The cause and effect concept is going to remain same between your electrostatics as well as your magnetostatics. In case of electrostatics, when you identify the problem, when you start to solve the problem, there we will be using a dot product, whereas in case of your magnetostatics, we will use a cross product. Now coming back to the solution, we have 2 points. The current element is at point B and the value of your current element is given like this. And at this point, we need to identify the value of your magnetic field intensity. where we are going to identify the value of magnetic field intensity, that is going to be your effect, and rest all other points is going to be the cause. We know that the differential magnetic field intensity is directly proportional to, according to Boyd-Swartz law, the differential magnetic field intensity is directly proportional to the current element I into dl and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. To remove this proportionality constant, we are going to add a factor called k. We'll get k into I into dl divided by r square. Now, the value of k is nothing but 1 divided by 4 pi. So, we can write the differential magnetic field intensity dH is equal to I into dl divided by 4 pi r square and unit vector in the direction ABA. ABA is nothing but the distance vector divided by magnitude of your distance. So, when you are identifying the distance vector and the distance, here RBA is equal to effect distance minus cos distance. So, effect distance is A and cos distance is going to be B. So, 2 minus 3 is going to be 1 AX vector. Next, plus 3 minus of minus 2. So, 5 AY vector minus 2 minus 4. So, minus 6 AZ vector, the whole divided by root of 1 square plus 5 square plus minus 6 square. So, when you do so, you will be getting the unit vector as like this. That is, this is going to be your unit vector, and the magnitude of the distance between the two points is going to be root 62. I into dl, it is the given factor what is given over the problem, divided by 4 pi r square. After identifying, you will get a differential value of your magnetic field intensity. dH is equal to 5.12 into 10 to the power of 10, 1.9 AZ plus 2.2 AY minus 0.4 AX. The unit for magnetic field intensity is ampere per meter. In general, the magnetic field intensity formula H is equal to Ni divided by L. The unit for current is going to be ampere and the unit for length is going to be meter or centimeter, anything whatever it is given over there in the problem. Therefore, the general unit for magnetic field intensity is going to be ampere per meter. Thank you, students.